Hi, this is Cheryl back with you from Farmhouse Frugally. A number of people have mentioned that they don't know how to make soup or broth from the bone. So today I'm using a ham because, it's Easter time and you're going to have a ham left over, more than likely, to show you first how to make a ham broth and then how to make the soup from the broth. This is one of my favorite soups. It's absolutely as tasty as can be. You could also make a split pea soup. So we're going to start basically with the ham bone that was left over that's probably sitting in some congealed fat. Definitely keep that, adds to the flavor. And we're going to fill a large stock pot, at least half full with water. You want to make sure the bone's going to be covered. Take the good ham off, whatever's left that you want to add to the soup, stick it in a Ziploc, put it in the fridge. And then this is what you've got left. Some meat definitely still on the bone. And in that stock pot, you are going to throw an onion, some celery, some carrots, the bone, the fat, whatever you have on hand. Squeeze a couple of garlic cloves in with it. Add a couple of bay leaves. And I like to add a little bit of sage. You don't have to. Some people like it, some people don't. I use about probably a half a teaspoon. I just throw some in the palm of my hand and toss it in there. This is just for the stock. You're gonna flavor the broth, for the broth rather. You're gonna flavor the soup later. Crushed rosemary is a must, in my opinion, for ham. Just definitely enhances the flavor. So you're going to just stick all that in there and you are going to boil this for an hour or more, maybe an hour and a half. Then you're going to turn it down and you're going to simmer this covered for probably 4 to 6 hours. That's where it really gets the bone broth flavoring. And once that is done, you're going to let it cool. Once it's cool, you're going to strain it and put it in a container and put it in the refrigerator overnight. And then pick through what's in the pan and only save the nice chunks of meat. You don't need anything else. And you're going to have a nice bowl of the meat set aside from what you had in the refrigerator and for what you just took out for the soup when it's time to make soup. So at this point, the broth can be frozen. It can be sitting in the refrigerator for a day or two until you're ready to make soup. At this point, I like to skim the fat off because once it's been sitting in the refrigerator, it gets a thick layer of fat on the top. I do not like that. I skim all that fat off and then I am ready to use it for the soup. So now we're going to make soup from this broth. So for me, I like rice. You can do potatoes, you can do pasta, you can do rice. I prefer to make rice, so I just do that according to the directions, either a brown rice or a white rice. I set probably, I would say, 1.5 to 2 cups of dry rice, and you always double the amount of water for rice. And then I set that to going because, rice takes a half hour or so to cook, and that can be done in the background. And then when it's finished cooking, I can just cover it and continue on as I go with the rest of the soup. So I begin with carrots. I just chop, whatever I need for carrots, probably a couple of cups worth, throw them into that warm stock. And then I take some celery. I use 3 large stalks. And I used a full onion, chopped that up, put all of that in. And then I love mushrooms with ham soup. That's optional. Go ahead and slice that and add that if you like mushrooms with your soup. And then you're going to just simmer that whole thing and add some spices, a couple of cloves of garlic, some pepper. I usually don't do salt with ham. Again, some rosemary and some bay leaves, and then take your rice off the stove when it's ready and continue to simmer that probably 45 minutes or an hour until those carrots are soft. Then you're going to take the ham that you have set aside and just for the last maybe 10 minutes, you're just going to throw that in there. Since it's already cooked, you're just warming it through. And it is just going to begin to smell heavenly and look beautiful until you feel like everything is cooked through. And then I like to put the rice on the bottom of the bowl, add the soup on top, and serve it with bread or with whatever you like. But I like to store the rice separate so it doesn't get all congealed in the soup. So for later on, it's easier if you kind of keep those separate. So hopefully you will enjoy this. Please hit like and share with a friend. Thanks for stopping by. See you soon.